What's up, Chukar fans? We are going to do some more schedule analysis today, talking about Chukar cross country and Chukar fall baseball schedule for 2026. The portion of the year where we do some recruiting, we develop talent, we develop mostly freshman development, that kind of stuff, getting some extra pickup games before we get into the season in the spring of 2027, and going over our Chukar cross country schedule this year. That is getting right up into business. Their first cross country meet is on September 3rd. So getting right into things here, and the fall ball schedule is posted on Instagram, so why not do some analysis on that as well on this show today. And we will also be discussing how we placed in the first NWAC coaches poll for the sport of volleyball and where your Chukars landed on that list for the first week of the 2026 season. So a three-sport show today for you guys. Let's get right into it. So, first, here are your official 2026 TVCC schedules for cross country, fall ball, and then we'll get into volleyball at the end of the show to discuss their poll numbers. So here we go. TVCC cross country season schedule. First, on September 3rd, they're going to be competing in the Harrier Classic, located in Joe Dance Park in McMinnville, Oregon. On September 18th, the NNU Invite, located in West Park of Nampa, Idaho. October 3rd, the Charles Bowles Invite, Bush Park in Salem, Oregon. On October 17th, the George Oha Invite, located in Oak Knoll Golf Course in Independence, Oregon. On October 23rd, the Southern Championships, located in Springfield Country Club in Springfield, Oregon. And to wrap up your cross-country season for the Chukars, on November 3rd, it is the NWAC Championships. Everything leads up to that point, and it is located on the course. It's literally called the course on the schedule, located in Spokane, Washington. So there is your schedule for this year. Just giving you the full breakdown. Going to give you some statistics and travel numbers, because this is a very, very interesting schedule when it comes to the actuality of travel. There's a lot of travel that'll be going on for the cross-country team, and that's not new. That's year-to-year process there. Just with us being in such a weird location in the Northwest Athletic Conference, especially competing in a sport like cross country, it requires a lot of travel, and you'll see that as we get into this schedule here. So the full breakdown of the schedule, number of official events scheduled, 6 events for this year. And here's an interesting statistic. Total distance covered for the team this season is going to be about 1,700 miles to travel. And the crazy part about that is that's just getting to where they need to be. That's not coming back to Ontario every time. So double that for the actual total distance of how long and how far they're going to travel in 2026. Here are the locations they're going to be going to, the length of travel based on from Ontario, Oregon to where they need to be, how long that trip is going to take. So first, they're going to go to McMinnville, Oregon, located in Western Oregon, right by the Portland area. A drive from Ontario to McMinnville is about 6 hours and 30 minutes. Very lengthy. Very lengthy. Nampa, Idaho. They're going to go to Nampa, Idaho for the NNU Invite, Northwest Nazarene. Western Idaho, obviously, 40 minutes from Ontario, so that is easily their shortest trip of 2026. Then they're going to Salem, Oregon, Western Oregon. It's a 6 hour, 30-minute drive from Ontario. Independence, Oregon, 6 hours, 45 minutes from Ontario. Springfield, Oregon, Western Oregon in that area as well, 6 hours, 40 minutes from Ontario. And to wrap up the season for your Chukars cross country team is the NWAC Championships, which is located in Spokane, Washington, which is also not a very short trip. It's located in eastern Washington. You have to go up to Lewiston, Idaho, which is a pretty lengthy drive from Ontario, and then you go onto a road to get you to Spokane. It can also get you to Pullman, Washington, which is where Washington State is. And that's 5 hours, 30 minutes from Ontario by itself as well. Total time of travel for this season for your Chukars is 30 plus hours of traveling, which is a crazy statistic just to think about. Just, you have to think that's got to be somewhat mentally draining, physically draining. You actually got to compete and do the work. But what's really nice about the schedule layout here is you got an event and then you got 2 or 3 weeks before you go on to your next event. So it really shouldn't be that mentally and physically draining. It's just the travel numbers are really, really crazy just based on 30 plus hours of distance traveled and 1,700 miles. It's a pretty cool statistic, and it's crazy. But yeah, just the layout, just separation. So you got events that start September 3rd, and then you got their next event is on September 18th, and then the next event after that is October 3rd. So it's a 2 or 3 week margin, which is really nice for their schedule. And that's your cross-country season. You got 6 events. Do what you need to do. NWAC Championships are on November 9th in Spokane. And you got your 6 events. You're pretty much mostly you're going towards the Western Oregon area. You have a total number of 4 cross-country meets around the Western Oregon area. And then you got one that's pretty close to home in Nampa, 40-minute drive from Ontario. Nothing really compared to the rest of the schedule. And then you go up to finish out the season, Eastern Washington, 5 hours, 30 minutes. I've actually been up there for a football camp, and it's a long drive, I'll tell you that, but it is not as draining as a 5 or as a 6 or 7 hour drive, like getting up from Ontario to, say, Coeur d'Alene. That's about an 8 hour drive on a bus. That is rough. I'll tell you that is very rough. But 5 hours, it's still a challenge, but it's not as bad as what the rest of the season plays out to be for the cross-country team. And that'll wrap up your cross-country schedule analysis for 2026. I'm going to give you some event stuff, like what actually happened on those days. It's coming up in a couple of weeks. Their first event, the Harrier Classic in McMinnville, Oregon. Tell you what happened. Give you as much statistics as I can find, how the Chukars did as a team, and how individual statistics played out for each individual cross-country runner at TVCC. And as we wrap that up, we are going to get into our TVCC fall baseball schedule for 2026. So first of all, fall baseball is an interesting actuality in the world of collegiate sports. In high school, they kind of do it too. They do club baseball. But in college, this is where you can implement recruiting. When you play teams, it's not unusual to play a high school club team. A bunch of players that want to play collegiate baseball and are willing to get recruited. That's why they're doing something like this. That's why they're competing against collegiate teams like TVCC. And there's a total number of 4 teams that are at the club scout team high school level with players that are willing to get recruited. And this is what this is for. And also developing your freshmen that you just recruited. Just developing talent, developing as much as you can going into spring, which is where the real stuff begins to happen. And these wins and losses don't necessarily count. They give you an aspect of what your young core is going to look like, how the team is probably going to look like going into spring, and players to watch out for, and players that we want to be in a Chukar uniform in 1 or 2 years based on other teams that we played. But there's also collegiate teams that we're playing this fall ball season as well, which is very interesting. We're going to get into it obviously as we go into the schedule, but we're playing some pretty good collegiate talent that I'm really excited for. Hopefully I can get to those games. We're playing a team that we're actually going to their field, to their campus, and hopefully I can make that game. It's a doubleheader. Really looking forward to see how the team goes from there. And we're also playing club teams that are on the D1 level. The sport of baseball is not a sport within the Pac-12 in their school. It's a club team. It's a baseball club team that can play teams like TVCC, for example. So here we go. Here's the schedule. So your first event of baseball activity for the Chukars in the fall of 2026 on September 13th, the Boise State Broncos Baseball Club and the Utah Yaks are coming to Ontario to play an 11 a.m. game, a 1 p.m. game, and a 3:30 p.m. game. So from my understanding, this is either the Chukars are playing one team and then they're playing the other. Maybe they're doing a round robin style where we get 2 games and then one team gets 1, for example. Round robin is a cool thing because you can get 3 teams into one location and then you can play baseball games from there. It's a really great process. I actually like round robin style when it comes to baseball. So I think that might be the actuality there. Ontario, Oregon. It is at our field, Bauman Field, and 3 games that day. Really excited for that to start off the fall ball season. On September 20th, the Blue Chip Baseball Club baseball team, high school level, is coming here to play a 12 p.m. game and a 3 p.m. game on September 20th. September 25th, the College of Idaho, the Yotes, are coming to Ontario. That game is to be determined time-wise. On September 27th, they're playing the Montana Scout Team high school level here at Bauman Field, 12 p.m., 3 p.m. game times. October 4th, this is probably the most intriguing matchup for me, in my opinion, for this whole fall ball schedule. We're going to Eastern Oregon University, the Mountaineers. We're going to be playing, obviously, at their campus in La Grande, Oregon, about a 3-hour road trip. 1 p.m. game, 4 p.m. game, doubleheader with the Mountaineers. And what's really intriguing to me for this is an NAIA level team. And historically, they've had a pretty solid softball/baseball program set up. So if we can compete closely with a team like this, I'm really excited just to think that this team is going to be competitive. If this team's competitive against Eastern Oregon, it shows good signs, especially this early in the process, because we're not even in spring yet. We're not even in 2027. Our season is in 2027. We're a year before that. So there's a lot of things that can go on before spring ball, the actual season starts. But if we can compete with teams like Eastern Oregon, pretty good sign for me specifically. I don't know about you guys, but just looking at it, if you're competitive, man. On October 13th, they are playing against the Idaho Show, another high school level recruiting team, sort of club baseball style, at Bauman Field. Time is to be determined for that game. On October 17th, we're going to see the Utah Yaks again at Bauman Field, 12 p.m., 3 p.m. game times, doubleheader as well. October 24th, Blue Chip Baseball is coming back to Bauman for a 12 p.m., 3 p.m. game times, doubleheader. And so far, again, there's other dates that could be added. This is not an official schedule, but this is pretty much the layout of generally what we're going to see this year for fall ball. On October 25th, the Sawtooth Sockeyes are coming to Ontario for 12 p.m., 3 p.m. doubleheader game times. The Sawtooth Sockeyes are a collegiate-level summer baseball team based out of Meridian, I believe, either Nampa or Meridian. And that is your schedule. Again, there's still dates that could be added based on the information we are given from the Chukar Baseball account on Instagram. But yeah, there's other games that could be added. Right now, the number of official games so far is 9 total events of baseball activity for your Chukars this fall. Schedule layout based on level of baseball competition, the number of club/scout teams on the schedule, which is high school level talent, high school level players, 4 teams that are competing against your Chukars this year, and the number of collegiate level teams on the schedule, 4 teams that we will be playing. And overall, just to cap off this specific schedule for the baseball team, again, I'm really intrigued by the EOU game in LeGrand. Really excited to see what they can do against the Boise State Baseball Club baseball there, which, again, with it just being club, they're still D1 talented athletes, right? They're in a club setting. It's not an official like division level deal within the school at Boise State University. But I'm excited if we can compete against them as well real closely. It's going to be pretty sweet. It's like the softball team and baseball teams has a thing going. They have a sort of connection. They like to play the College of Southern Idaho a lot early in their season or in fall ball. The College of Southern Idaho is a higher level. If it's like basketball as well. If you can compete closely to a team like that, really good signs. And like I said, it works with basketball too to implement that actuality there. And we'll talk about that a lot when it comes going into basketball season, especially for the development of the women's basketball team and how our men's team is going to come back from a successful season last year as well. And just looking at the development and full understanding of the team this year. So that's your fall baseball schedule. And to finish off this show today on What the Chuck, we will talk about the volleyball team's official poll number, the first coaches poll of 2026 for the NWAC. So at last year, as a lot of you know, if you have watched this show, we obviously won the NWAC championship last year, which is the highest success award and deal you can get in the Northwest Athletic Conference. So we're the reigning champions. Boom, boom, boom. And that obviously plays a factor going into this year. Is this team going to be as good as they were last year? Are they going to be worse? We got a new coach in Amber Fouts. Is the system going to look different? I don't think it is, because she was the assistant coach last year. So she implemented just as much as the head coach did, our head coach from last year on the volleyball team. There's a lot of question marks, and it's really fun to guess how this team is going to look. How are they going to deal with being the reigning champs? Because that's never happened in the history of TVCC sports. We've never had a reigning champion in the NWAC. We've never had a champion at that highest point in the Northwest Athletic Conference. So a lot of fun question marks, and it implements the thought process of coaches and how this team is going to look this year. And it definitely shows that there was a factor, and this team is going to be, if not better or just as competitive as last year, even though there's a lot of freshman talent that has gone in. A newer, younger team for the Chukars this year. But let's see the poll. This is the official preseason coaches poll for the week of August 20th. Let's see this thing, man. Come on. Going through the NWAC side. So, here's the coaches poll. The ranked number 1 team for the coaches poll is the Bellevue Bulldogs. They faced the Chukars in the championship last year. That makes sense. Most coaches think they are going to be the best team in the NWAC going in. Number 2 is the Edmonds Tritons, 197 votes and 5 votes for first place out of coaches in the conference. So Bellevue, Edmonds, and then we get into the third place, which is the Lynn Benton Roadrunners, 177 votes and 2 votes for first place. Fourth place in the preseason coaches poll for the week of August 20th, your Treasure Valley Community College Chukars, 125 votes for the top 10, and 3 votes were given for a first place for your TVCC Chukars. So they are a top 5 team according to coaches going into the NWAC season this year. Really awesome statistic. And here's the rest of your top 10. You got Yakima Valley. They're in the East region. They're number 5, 117 votes. The Rogue Ospreys, they were 92 votes. Highline, 73. Number 8 is Spokane, East region, 56. Lower Columbia is 9, 52. And it only shows 9, which is weird. It's like blocking out the 10th team. But there is your poll for August 20th. Your Chukars placed 4th, 125 points, votes, and 3 votes for first. So coaches are realizing around the NWAC that this team is legit. This team is going to be legit. A lot of great freshman talent coming in. Again, winning the NWAC championship definitely helps pipeline perspectives. Athletes want to go to championship level teams. That is the common in sports today. Most of the time, if you have athletes that are generally on the good side, lot of talent, and just if they're in that mindset of like, they're in a win now situation, teams like TVCC, boom, that is the gold there. And again, like I said earlier, we've never had that sort of situation. So it's really exciting to see what we can do as reigning NWAC champions. And again, these are coaches. These are actual coaches that coach actual volleyball teams in the Northwest Athletic Conference that vote on these polls for 2026 in NWAC volleyball. And we got 4th. Really excited for the season there. Thank you so much for watching or listening to this show today on What the Chuck, TVCC cross country season schedule analysis, fall ball, baseball schedule analysis, and the poll rankings for the first week of August 20th on preseason coaches poll for your TVCC Chukars in the sport of volleyball. Thank you so much, and go Chucks.